Hello ladies and gentlemen, and today I'll be talking to you guys about James Armistead Lafayette. Now, if you guys don't know anything about this guy in history, this man was born in the year of between 1748 and 1760 and died around 1830 to 1833. James was actually born in the area of modern-day Virginia, and of which he was an enslaved African American who served in the Continental Army during the American Revolution under Marquis de Lafayette, and as well as a double agent in the American Army. And in doing so, he actually managed to, well, trick the British Army in the process, in which we managed to win the Battle of Yorktown. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's take a first look at his life and career, shall we? Armistead was enslaved to a man, pretty much to, well, a man known as Armistead, in which, well, William Armistead in Virginia. Most sources indicate that James was born in, well, 1748 in New Kent County, Virginia, though others put his birth around 1760 and volunteered to join the army under Lafayette. Lafayette was utilized Armistead as a spy, and mainly because of the fact the British Army had more African American soldiers than they did white soldiers in the Continental Army in their divisions. Now, here's the reason also though others put this in fact in history with a letter posting as a runaway slave. Now, here's the thing though, James actually joined the Continental Army mainly not as a runaway slave, but mainly actually he volunteered, and as well even his own owner William Armistead actually even allowed him to. In the process, if he can actually remember of where his heart truly belongs. Now, William Armistead was technically not for the revolution, nor was he against it, but in fact he was kind of in the middle. And as well, he even told his, well, James, if he wanted to join, and as well, he must search his heart for what is right. Kind of courageous words if you ask me. Anyways, Armistead joined the camp of Brigadier General Benedict Arnold, who of which was a turncoat in the war. And it was led to some British forces in the area. Pretending to be a spy for them allowed Armistead to gain Arnold's confidence in the entire conflict, to exact Arnold dues the British troops, and as well local roads, and as well the so-called ex-slave, who later renamed himself James Armistead Lafayette in the general's honor. Now, in doing so, James actually managed to, well, pretty much trick the entire British Army. In doing so, he kind of actually was famous for, was actually managing to, well, easily trick the British forces by telling them fake information, which later took part in the Battle of Yorktown. This kind of was actually the most impressive thing in history, and of which he actually managed to rewrite down all the information on the British forces. In doing so, we actually did surround the British at Yorktown. In fact, none other than Lord Cornwallis was actually surrounded because of, well, James Armistead. James went as far as to actually pretty much, well, trap the British here and there, and as well, it later on became a massive British defeat. This intelligence reports, in the process, led to the massive winning of the declaration of war on the British government. So, in other words, American Revolution, all one and done. And in fact, it actually wasn't until 1824 that James actually was supposed to have gained his independence, but many people actually state it was sometime in 1783 that James actually managed to finally gain it. Though it was but in truth, it was in 1824, that of which it was when none other than Marquis de Lafayette had returned to the United States and actually saw James in the crowds, and as well even went as far as to actually hug him and admire him, both from afar and from a distance. Now, as though in history books it is stated that after the American Revolution, James actually tried to get his freedom, of which, even with the aid of his own fellow master, William Armistead, who even stated the following, that this man was a hero, However, the American Congress at the time was still not wanting to give him his freedom. It was only with a type of well-documented letter from, well, none other than Marquis de Lafayette that in the process we actually managed to get his, well, James managed to get his freedom. In fact, it's also stated that James actually managed to visit Washington's grave in Mount Vernon, of which it was even stated in the process James was even probably welcomed into the U.S. government as a welcomed freed man and as well hero of the American Revolution. As well, James was actually asked of what his name would be, and in doing so, James actually named himself James Armistead Lafayette. Armistead after his master, who of which he admired being, well, a polite and just man, and as well, even to Lafayette himself, of which he actually named in honor of him. And as well, it is stated though that James could have, well, fled the United States altogether and gone to Canada or just joined the British in general. But in truth, James was stated to have been a most honorable man and as well never told a lie, of which is why his owner, William Armistead, adored him, and as well even stated that he is probably the most honorable man that I have ever heard. This is probably why I love this guy in history books. As well, he's the most forgotten man in history, but as well, he is actually one of America's first black heroes, and of which, mostly one of the main forgotten heroes that led to American Revolution. If you guys want to know more about the American Revolution, let me know down in the comments below of what I could cover next. As well, I will try my best to actually study it stuff, and as well, hopefully get it in time for in the month of July. But yes, guys, this is the history of James Lafayette, and hopefully you guys found this educational, and as well want to remember most about it in history. Anyways, guys, this has been Templar. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to cover anything else. Also, like and subscribe, and as well click the bell button to help the channel grow. And as well, I will be leaving links down below for a page on Facebook where you guys can actually follow me more on information. Anyways, guys, it's been Templar. Have a nice day.